He has been rocking and rolling. The president today is wrapping up his Middle East trip in the United Arab Emirates. And just a few days, he's already secured a stunning array of economic and diplomatic deals on the list. A $600 billion investment from Saudi Arabia, a $1.2 trillion commitment from Qatar, which includes a historic deal for more than 200 Boeing aircraft. The UAE already has committed to a framework to invest $1.4 trillion. The president says he wants to see details on how exactly that will be spent. Here's President Trump earlier today.
Now we're going to defend America from all enemies, overcome all obstacles and dangers, and as one nation, we're going to build a future of peace and prosperity for generations to come. It's America first, but we're going to take care of other countries. Now our country is respected again at a level that it hasn't seen in a long, long time, and we're going to keep it that way.
Former Obama State Department official Ned Price told Axios Trump has the ability to do things politically that previous presidents did not because he has complete, unquestioned authority over the Republican caucus. And senior foreign policy aide to both Obama and Biden, Rob Malley, says to the outlet, it's hard not to be simultaneously terrified at the thought of the damage he can cause with such power and awed by his willingness to brazenly shatter so many harmful taboos. Interesting. In focus now, Republican Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa. She's co-chair of the Senate Abraham Accords Caucus and a member of the Senate Armed Services and Homeland Security Committees. Senator Ernst has been to the Middle East, I should mention, 6 times since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7, 2023. You know a lot about the region and about the deals and about what it's going to take to move that region forward. First of all, the sort of quiet response, if you will, while the president, and I know we don't criticize too much as lawmakers, but Democrats have to be in awe. I mean, I think that quote that I read, they don't know what to say at this point.
Absolutely, Harris, and thank you for having me on. I care a lot about this region. It's the region I served with in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and so we want to see this region prosper. We want to see greater integration, and you are absolutely correct, and that I think most of my Democratic colleagues are silently in awe of President Trump. But what we have here is a leader, someone who is inspiring others to follow them for a common goal. And in the Middle East, it is greater economic prosperity. It is the integration of multiple societies for the good of everyone. Greater stability, less military intervention, we hope. And this is something that could not have been achieved in the previous 4 years under the Biden administration. Biden was not a leader. Let's just state that fact. He did absolutely nothing to further the Abraham Accords that President Trump had master-crafted together in his first administration. So President Trump is truly leading the way when it comes to the Middle East. He has provided greater stability, and we're really thankful for that. Silently, the Democrats are too.
Well, you know, it's interesting what you say, and I've made this comment before. It was one of the few things, very few things that Biden didn't touch, the Abraham Accords. So that kind of tipped the hat to just how strong they were, and that even he respected what had not been done previously. President Trump is making big moves on actually 4 diplomatic fronts now during this important trip. Syria sanctions, the Israel-Hamas war, the Russia-Ukraine war, and the Iran nuclear threat. Here's the president.
There's only 2 courses. There aren't 3 or 4 or 5. There's 2. There's a friendly and a non-friendly, and the non-friendly is a violent course, and I don't want that. I'll say it up front, I don't want that.
NBC is reporting Iran is ready to make a deal on uranium enrichment if economic sanctions are lifted. First of all, what is your reaction to that reported possibility?
Well, I do think we have to come to some deal with Iran. but absolutely no nuclear enrichment. This is a sticking point. But let's go beyond that. And President Trump has also said this, that there can be no ballistic missiles and there can be no supporting of terrorist proxies in the region. This is really important. I spoke with a social media influencer from Iran yesterday, and she has a very powerful voice. And she said the Iranian people are very tired of the regime. They want it gone. We need to listen to the people in Iran. They want their freedoms. They want to be able to associate with people in the West. But that will not happen with this current regime and the way they are promoting their nuclear ambitions. They're supporting terrorist proxies. They continue to develop ballistic missiles. All of that needs to go away. We need to hear from the people of Iran, and I know that we can do that. President Trump has been very supportive of peace. This is the way we get to peace. So I'm really hopeful that we hear more when it comes to those sanctions, more on stability efforts in the Middle East. President Trump can do this.
Look, you could understand some doubt, though, when you say words like they have to promise these countries, Iran in particular, but I would think also Qatar, with all the help they've given Hamas, those savages that unleashed such hate and cruelty on October 7th, 2023 against the citizens of Israel. How can you trust them? How do you keep watch to make sure that those countries are not outsourcing funds and maybe even, you know, intelligence? Who knows what they are giving these rogue groups that under them are command and control?
Well, Harris, that's exactly it. You said watch. And that's what we have to do. There has to be constant vigilance. Trust but verify. In some cases,
so do we keep
not
troops
even
there?
Trust.
Like, how do
We do keep troops there for now, but Qatar needs to understand that there is always that possibility. If they are not good actors, and if they're not keeping their thumb on Hamas and other terrorist proxies that are in the region and often use Qatar as a home base, if they are not keeping their thumb on that and looking to the West for guidance, that we will always maintain the right to pull our troops out of that area. We can always relocate those troops. We can do that as a United States. But trust but verify, and in some cases, as I stated, maybe not even fully trust. But there has to be transparency, there has to be vigilance, and believe me, we will continue to shape and inform this discussion as we move forward. But the point of this entire trip, Harris, is that President Trump made this trip. He went on this trip. He is encouraging peace in the Middle East, where Biden utterly failed to lead. We needed President Trump to do this, and hopefully we have greater integration and stability. Maybe Saudi Arabia joins us in the Accords. We love it. Thank you, Donald J. Trump.
There you go. Yeah, he's forging relationships. So much respect for us around the world as a country through him right now. Senator, thank you very much.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.